Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Jane. You're welcome to Jane by Design. Today I'm showing us how to draft a two-piece jacket sleeve. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Please subscribe and put on your notification bell. Now I know we are expecting to see a video on how to sew the jacket I previously drafted. Yes, that video will come up after this one. I just thought I should make a video on how to draft the sleeve of the jacket before posting that video. So if you're excited to see the video on how we were able to sew up the jacket, please put on your notification bell, watch to the end, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section, and most importantly, like my videos. All right, without wasting much time, let's jump straight into the video. Now, for you to do a two-piece sleeve, you need your sleeve pattern. I have that already on my channel. This channel is packed. I have a video on how I drafted this particular sleeve. If you're yet to see that, I'm going to be leaving the link in the description box. Now you can see that I'm folding in the sides of my sleeve inward. That is because we wouldn't be needing that part of the sleeve. So this is the part where we'll be needing. We'll need just the midsection and the arm's eye. So what I'll do right now is to trace off that exact shape on a different pattern paper, just so that I don't tamper with my original sleeve pattern. So right here on this part, I have traced off the midsection of the sleeve. I have the grain line there. I have the sleeve head, the arm's eye. I have indicated the back and the front. I'm going to be placing a notch at both sides. Now the next thing is to take your elbow level. So for my elbow level, just place your tape from your wrist upward, and I'll be using 9.5 inch for my elbow level, and I'm going to be placing a mark at where my 9.5 inch falls on the grain line, and then we are going to be marking that line across on our sleeve. So that line, the new line that I've just created on this sleeve, is the elbow line. Now for us to tilt our sleeve towards the direction of where the arm goes, on the grain line I'm going to come out by 0.75 inch. You can do 0.5 depending on how forward your arm is. So but for this I'm going to take 0.75 inch on the grain line, and from that point I'm going to be connecting that point I marked on my wrist upward to touch the elbow. So this is what I've just done on my grain line. That is the straight line that ran on my sleeve. I came out by 0.75 inch, and from that point I connected it to touch my elbow. Now this will be the new grain line for the under sleeve. All right, so for the inner sleeve, now at this point I'm going to take my sleeve, that's my wrist measurement from that sleeve, and this new line that I've marked on my wrist line will serve as a grain line for the under sleeve. So at this point I'm going to take a measurement of what I have on my sleeve, on my wrist, sorry, on both sides. So for my wrist I have 4.25. On both sides of that line I'm going to place 4.25 divided by 2. I'm going to place 2.125 on both sides of the new line that we just marked away from the original grain line. I hope you get that. So on that new line we just created a new wrist, and you can see that the line below there is not straight, it's kind of slanted, and we have that extension going on outside of the sleeve. So you see the points where we have the sleeve, the wrist stopping at the new extension there. We are going to be connecting that also to meet up with the elbow line. So you can see what I have just done right now. The new wrist line we've created at the wrist level, we connected that back to touch the elbow line, and also for the inner side of the sleeve as well, we are going to be connecting that wrist line as well to touch our elbow level at the inner side of the sleeve. So you can see at this point our sleeve is tilted towards a certain direction. That is the direction where the arm usually swings by. So Now at this point we are done with the under sleeve, and what we'll do for this now is to take in half an inch inward as well. So for the under sleeve to be complete, we need to mark in half an inch from the top down to the wrist. All right, so I'm going to be using my ruler now to mark in half an inch all the way from the top down to the wrist. And please, when you are taking your half an inch, ensure that it is the same direction that it is tilting towards, that your half inch is also going. So just pay attention and see the way that I am taking out this half an inch on my sleeve. So I'm going to mark starting from the top. I've marked half an inch all the way from the sleeve head down to the elbow, and from the elbow line I'm going to also mark in half an inch, following that new sleeve extension that I have just marked, following that extension, not the inner sleeve line, following the new extension that I have just marked. I'm going to also mark in half an inch as well to connect back to touch my elbow line. Okay, so you can see what I have right now. You can see that I have that half inch running inward, and I will do the same thing for the other side. You are only marking this on the new tilted sleeve leg that we've just marked. I've taken half inch from the top to the elbow line, and from my elbow line down to the wrist, the new wrist we've created. So this new line is our under sleeve. Okay, this new line that I've just marked, this half an inch that I've just taken inward on my sleeve, is the under sleeve. That's this under sleeve of the sleeve. So what I will do is to go ahead and trace this off on a separate sheet of paper so that you would see what it looks like. I hope we don't get confused for beginners. Just pay attention the way I'm illustrating it with my fingers so that it will be much more easier. So the part where I just followed right now is the part where we'll be tracing off on a separate sheet to reveal the under sleeve. So you can see I've traced off that inner half inch seam that I have on my sleeve, and I've represented it on a different sheet of paper. So this is what our under sleeve looks like, and I also have my green line. Now I'm going to set that aside. The next thing we're going to do is to create our top sleeve. So now I'm going to be tracing off my sleeve. I'm going to be tracing the inner line of the sleeve, and to do this you are going to be folding the outer line of your sleeve. So see the way I'm doing it in this video, so just pay attention. So folding the outer line of your sleeve from top to elbow. You know, at this point the sleeve is not straight, it's already bent towards a certain direction. So you're going to be folding from the top down till you get to the elbow. Okay, and we are going to be tracing it underneath the paper. You can go ahead and trace off if your pattern paper is transparent, but if it is not, you can use your tracing wheel to trace from the top to meet the elbow. So you see the way that I'm tracing all the way from that curve at the underarm down to meet the elbow line, and you see that we are tracing the inner line of our sleeve. Okay, so we are tracing the inner line of our sleeve. We folded the outer line and we are tracing on the inner line of the sleeve on our paper. When we open up our paper, that is what is going to be showing on our folded paper. So after folding the top, we are going to repeat the same thing from the elbow down to the wrist because the line is not straight. So you are going to also fold the outer line of the elbow down to the wrist, and after folding, we'll do the same thing that we did for the top. We are going to use our tracing wheel also to trace out from the wrist up to touch our elbow. All right, so this is what I will do right now. I've traced off from the wrist to touch the elbow, And after tracing off, I'm going to be opening this, and I'm going to use my pencil and ruler to outline all of the traces that we've done, and so that you see what it looks like. Okay, so right here I've opened up my sleeve. Now I'm going to trace off with my pencil all the lines. You see what we have. We have another line added to the lines we have already. So you can see from 2 we've gotten to 3. We have 3 lines already running on one side of our sleeve. So right now I will repeat the same thing for the other side of the sleeve. Just in case you didn't get it the first time, let me quickly run down this part again. So what we'll do now is to fold in our line, that outer line we have on our sleeve. Just fold it in from top to elbow. The reason why the fold cannot come down to the wrist is because the sleeve has been tilted from the elbow. It has been tilted towards the direction of the arm. So we folded in the outer line, and we are going to be tracing from the outer, we're going to be tracing the inner line all the way from the top to the elbow, ensuring that you also trace out the curve at the arm's eye, and then connecting that curve down to touch your elbow line. So when you get to your elbow, you're going to stop, because we will need to be folding from that elbow to touch your wrist. So you can see on that part we have the outer line is not the line where you are going to be folding. So the part where you're going to be folding will be the second line that is running into your sleeve. So you can see the line that I folded on this part. We are not folding in the outer line from the elbow down to your wrist. You are folding the second line from your elbow down to your wrist, and that is what I've just folded right now. And after folding, we are going to continue with the tracing. Trace from the elbow down to your wrist, okay, after you've gotten that fold. All right, so I hope you don't get it confused at this stage. I know that the lines might look they might look alike, or they might be too much, but if you pay attention and follow it gradually, I'm sure you get it. So right now I've traced from the elbow down to the wrist. Now I'm going to go ahead and trace off that line the way I did for the other side of my sleeve. So right now, if you are able to trace off the lines on your sleeve, this point your sleeve is ready, the outer sleeve is ready. So this point we already have your 2-piece sleeve. Now after you've traced off this line running from your top to the wrist, you can now go ahead and add your sewing allowances all around the pattern. For the seam allowance, I added 1/2 inch. For the side, for the top sleeve, I added 1/2 inch all around it, and also at the top I added 1/2 inch as well. Towards the side where we have the curve joining down to the side of the sleeve, I squared out that part so that it sits nicely when we attach the undersleeve to it. So right now I've added 1/2 inch all around the top sleeve, and for the wrist I added 1 inch to it. I'll do the same thing for the undersleeve as well. I've added 1/2 inch all around it, and for the wrist I added 1 inch to the wrist of my sleeve. So if you just pay attention and see the way I'm adding all of my seam allowances on it, so that way it is easier for you to be able to sew up when you join these 2 pieces together. I hope you've liked this video. If you've not, please like this video at this point. If you watched to this point, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment in the comment section. So now we are done adding all of our seam allowances. Now I will go ahead to cut out the pattern for the front. You can see the top sleeve. I've cut out the top part of the sleeve, and for the undersleeve as well, I have gone ahead to cut out the undersleeve. All right, so now after we are done cutting out, one more thing to do before we are done. So now these are the cutout piece of my sleeve, the under sleeve and the top sleeve, and I'm going to be indicating the part that is the front and the back, and we're going to be placing notches on them. So for my top sleeve towards the front, I'm going to mark a notch at that point. So on the front part of my top sleeve, I'm going to place a notch 5 inch downward, and also from the elbow down towards the wrist I will also place 5 inch downwards as well. So we're just going to be placing notches so that when you place these two pieces together they align properly. That is the essence of this notch. This notch is very, very important. Do not take it for granted. So when you are drafting your own sleeve, please remember this notch. Very, very important. So the same notch that I transferred on my front side of the sleeve is also what I will do for the underarm part of the sleeve for the front side. And also for the back side of the sleeve, I came down by 5 inch as well. I placed a notch at that point. I do the same thing for the lower side towards the wrist. I came down by 5 inch towards the wrist. I came down by 5 inch, and I'll place a notch there as well. I will also repeat the same process for the under sleeve. Towards the back side of the under sleeve, I will place a notch at that point, 5 inch towards the wrist, and also at the top 5 inch also towards the top of the wrist. So this way you are able to align your sleeve properly. Okay, now to be able to differentiate each of the notches for both sides of the front and the back, for the back I'm going to indicate it with double notches, while for the front I'm going to leave it like that. So now I've placed my sleeve on top of each other. You can see what it looks like. They both align properly. Now if you made yours, do let me know in the comment section. I'm going to be using this sleeve to make our jacket, so stay tuned for that video. If you watched the end, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Stay blessed. Bye.